Hi, it's Bronwyn from Rap, and today I want to go through some mix approach techniques with you that you can use in just about any genre. Now, indie pop rock is probably one of my favorite genres, and I'm working on a track called Drama from Seven Sounds Subliminal Pop Verses, available at rloops.com. I'm going to focus on getting the sound and the tone today rather than a more complete or a final mix. And once you have the tone for indie pop rock, you can then really start to work your mix out. One of the signature sounds for indie pop rock is that live sound, and also the whole genre is really rich in distortion and saturation. So a great place to start is on the main mix bus. And I've loaded in one of my favorite compressors for the rock and alternative and metal and pop rock genres, and that is the API 2500. I really like the tone and the punch that I get from this particular compressor. It not only helps me to manage the dynamics, but it also helps me to dial in a really nice tone as an overall sound for the indie pop rock genre. And then, of course, I've got a limiter. I've got the gain plugin so that I can switch in and out of mono and stereo so I can listen to what's going on and just make sure that my mix is translating nicely across playback systems. And then I have the multimeter. And one of the really cool things about the multimeter is that I have a goniometer, correlation meter, of course, all the different levels, standards as well, LUFS and peak, as well as RMS. And then, of course, I have a nice spectrum analyzer so I can really have a good look at what's going on in the mix as I'm listening to it. You'll also see that I've loaded up a reverb unit. It's a typical Space Designer. And I'm going to put that live sound, that live feel right over the whole mix. But we'll do that right at the very end so that you can get a grand idea of what that reverb does on the main mix bus to the mix. Okay, so let's start off with the drums. I've got a really fantastic sounding drum kit. I've got all the stems. They're nice and live kit and acoustic kit. But what I've done with this drum kit is I've actually routed it through to its own independent bus. And on that independent bus, I've further added some plugins. You can see some saturation, a bit of EQ, and I've also used that gain plugin just to check some phasing and mono compatibility to make sure that what I'm doing is going to still translate nicely. So let me switch these plugins off just for a moment. And let's have a listen to what these drums actually sound like. It's a really lovely sounding kit. So let's add in that saturation and the EQ and have a listen to it now. You can really hear that saturation fattening up the sound, but you lose a bit of the brightness. So it sounds like that snare is actually squashed a little bit. And so we've got extra stems over here. We've got drum rooms and drum top, and I've routed that to the main stereo bus. I haven't routed it through into that same saturation and EQ with the other drums, and that's just going to add in a bit of that brightness and that top end that I'm starting to miss. So let's have a listen now. Yeah, that's awesome. I really like it. It's a lovely sounding kit. And I have a mixture of the clean and the processed drums. Let's move on to the guitars. In indie pop rock, the guitars are actually the signature sound of any indie pop rock song. In fact, guitar tone is the defining factor that makes an indie pop rock song stand out. The player's actual guitars will provide that individual nuanced flavor, but it's the amplifiers that will define those signature sounds. So a major key to getting a unique indie rock guitar sound is actually using combinations of sounds to create one tone. So layers and layers and layers of guitars doing different parts, and then running them through various amp simulators and pedal boards. And you want to create multiple layers and get a really hot sound. Let's have a look at there's a guitar for the verse and then guitars for the chorus. And you'll see that the verse guitars I've sent right through to the main output, and then the other guitars for the verse I've put through into their own bus again, and I further processed that with a bit of compression just to tighten up those guitars and make them a little bit more cohesive for the mix. Right, so let's have a listen to the verse guitars. Now, on these verse guitars, I've placed an amp, and I've also placed a chorus, and I've basically duplicated exactly the same thing on each channel. And then I've panned one left and one right, and you can see that I've used a nice vintage FET plugin here for the compression. Let's have a listen to the guitars without these plugins on them, and then I'll play them with the plugins. So here we go. Yeah, it sounds pretty awesome. Let's have a listen to the other guitars now for the chorus section. And you can see that I have multiple guitars over here. And I've run them again through different amps. And I've even added in a nice pedal board for one of the guitar lines. And you can see all of these different amps. So let's have a listen to the guitars. All right. Let's move on to the bass. In indie pop, the bass guitar is actually the solid foundation of the whole track. Everybody else can play a little bit loose, but it's the bass player that needs to be the solid timekeeper of the band. And I've treated the bass here with a little bit of compression, and I've also added in a little bit of a synth bass as well to really just help that bass line cut through the mix in the chorus. You can hear the original bass. You can see the bass amp that I've run it through. A nice compression as well. And then added to that is that synth bass sound to really help it cut through the mix. Big drive on that bass. Now, the vocals for indie pop rock, you're looking for a really unique sound, but you also need to find the balance between having clarity of lyrics as well as the blend of the vocal in your mix. And again, what I've done is I've taken the vocals and run them through their own bus. And again, on that vocal bus, I've just added a compressor just to make sure that they're sitting in the same space and that their levels and dynamics are being managed nicely. And I've also, on each of the separate vocal parts, I've just added in a few different effects. So on the main vocal part, what I did was I duplicated the track so that I have three copies or three identical tracks. I have my lead vocals, the original, and then the duplicates. On one, I added in a reverb. On the other one, I added in a bit of a tape delay just to thicken up that vocal. And on the main vocal part itself, I actually added in a little bit of a fuzz and a little bit of delay just to give it a little bit of a unique signature sound. So let's have a listen to those vocal parts. And then I've run everything through a bit of a reverb just to give it some sense of space, but not too much, because don't forget that on our main mix bus, we're going to have an overall reverb that everybody's going to run through. So let's have a listen to these vocals.
Now you wanna be someone you can be, and that is not for me, yeah. You're a little drama, and I can't do with this love not anymore. I would take a break anymore. I would take a break. You're a little drama, and I can't deal with this love not anymore. I would take a break anymore. I would take a break.
All right, so the key to any great indie rock mix basically comes down to the presence of the vocals and the guitars. So let's add in those guitars with the vocals and just have a listen to what that sounds like.
Now you wanna be someone you can be, and that is not for me, yeah. You're a little drama, and I can't do with this love not anymore.
All right, so the balance is sounding as if it's really starting to get there. Let's add in all the other elements of the mix. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you'll use these techniques and try them out in your own mixes, in your own genres, and have some fun along the way. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you again in the next video.
Now you wanna be someone you can be, and that is not for me, yeah. You're a little drama, and I can't do with this love not anymore. I would take a break anymore. I would take a break. You're a little drama, and I can't do with this love not anymore. I would take a break anymore. I would take a break. Now you wanna be someone you can be, and that is not for me, yeah. You're a little drama.